afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to our weekly review of how religion impacts humanity. This week's headlines. A British law graduate was murdered in Pakistan after telling her uncle that two men had been trying to force her to marry them. Some UK mosques are closed to women during Ramadan. A North London pastor was arrested after giving a street sermon on marriage. Police cite complaints of homophobic comments. Former Maldives President Nasheed was hurt in an ISIS bomb attack. A Welsh Act makes the curriculum fully inclusive of humanism. G7 Summit says rich states want to send 40 million more girls to school. A British law graduate has been shot and strangled at her rented home in Pakistan, shown in green on this map, after telling her uncle that two men had been trying to force her to marry them. Mayra Zulfikar, 26, from Feltham in southwest London, was found dead at the property in the Defence District of Lahore after four attackers reportedly barged into her home and bedroom. Local reports say two men had been competing for Ms. Zulfikar's hand in marriage, with police in Pakistan describing the killing as a possible crime of passion. Ms. Zulfikar, who studied law at the University of West London, is understood to have moved to Pakistan from the UK around 2 months ago after attending a friend's wedding and deciding to stay in the country. The victim's distraught parents are understood to be travelling to Pakistan after they were told of their daughter's death. Millions of Muslims around the world are currently observing Ramadan, but some mosques in the UK are not allowing women inside to pray. Some say it is time for change. A single mother of three, Almas, barely has time for her religion. She is studying for a university degree. That's why Ramadan, the holy month of fasting, means so much to her. I was looking forward to reading Taraweeh prayers on the weekends, especially when we have more time, she says. But when I spoke to my local mosque, they said no elderly, no children, and no women were allowed. Almas is not alone. Several mosques across the UK have decided to close their women's prayer space during this month. Most say it is because of coronavirus restrictions. Women like Almas aren't just missing Taraweeh prayers, which is an optional prayer at night, held only during Ramadan. Many are unable to worship at all in their mosque, including Friday prayers. While many families pray together at home, worship in mosques tends to be gender segregated, with many people believing that allows people more time to focus on prayer. Sometimes women will pray behind men in the same space, but more often mosques will have two separate rooms for each gender to pray in, with the men in the main prayer hall and the women in an alternative space. But not all mosques make room for women. More than a quarter of British mosques don't have a space for women at all. In the mosques that do cater for both men and women, the spaces aren't always the same size. A 71-year-old pastor of a North London church was arrested on April the 23rd under the United Kingdom's Public Order Act for allegedly making homophobic comments during a public sermon. At least one United Kingdom-based Christian group, Christian Concern, which defends people of faith, described the incident as a brutal arrest that sets a bad precedent for religious freedom of speech throughout the country. But local police say they'd received numerous complaints that Sherwood had been making bigoted remarks directed towards gay people, which the anonymous caller described as abusive or insulting words. The viral video recording of the arrest shows Sherwood standing on a step stool in Uxbridge, London, before police approach and appear to physically strike him as he's led away in handcuffs. Sherwood, a pastor for 35 years, has adamantly denied that he was making any remarks which target gay people specifically. Here's the video. Pastor Sherwood told a podcast host on Thursday that he was preaching about the sanctity of marriage between a man and a woman at the time of his arrest. Now, we don't often hear from the Maldives, an island group south of India. But this week, former Maldives President, who is currently the Speaker of the Parliament, Maldives Nasheed, was injured in a blast outside his family home on Thursday. Following an explosion, the Speaker of the Parliament, that's his current role, has sustained injuries and is currently receiving treatment at ADK Hospital in the capital, Malé, a police statement said. Two close family members who asked not to be identified due to the sensitivity of the situation, told Reuters news agency that Nasheed was talking and responsive before being treated under anesthesia at the hospital. ISIS have claimed responsibility for the bomb attack, which also wounded a British man. The blast happened as Nasheed was about to get into a car outside his home on Thursday evening. Local media reports a homemade explosive device was planted on a motorbike that was parked nearby. Here's the video. Mr. Nasheed was the first democratically elected president of the Maldives and has been an outspoken critic of hardline Islamists. He won multi-party elections in 2008, but was ousted in a coup 4 years later. President Ibrahim Solih described the explosion as an attack on Maldives' democracy and economy. A Welsh bill that will make the curriculum fully inclusive of humanism has received royal assent, meaning it is now an act. Wales Humanists has welcomed the historic act, calling it an enormous success for inclusive education. Humanists UK has called for the rest of the UK to follow Wales's lead. The Curriculum and Assessment Wales Act received royal assent yesterday and will come into force from September 2022. It means that, in line with the Human Rights Act of 1998, humanism will be taught on an equal footing with religions in the school curriculum. The name of the subject of religious education will be changed to Religion, Values and Ethics, RVE, to reflect this broader scope. The Act also clarifies that humanists may sit on the bodies that oversee and develop the syllabus. In addition to the changes to RE, the Act will introduce an array of other sweeping reforms. These include objective age-appropriate relationships and sexuality education, RSE, for all pupils aged 3 to 16 with no parental right to withdraw. Schools will also have a legal duty to promote knowledge and understanding of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. Parents whose children attend voluntary aided faith schools will also be given the right to have them taught objective RVE lessons in line with the inclusive syllabus taught in other schools rather than faith-based lessons. The G7 group of nations, who recently held a summit in London, agreed a new target of sending 40 million more girls from low and middle income countries to school within 5 years. Foreign ministers will use the London Summit commitment to help women in developing countries with a $15 billion 2-year package of support. At their first in-person meeting for 2 years, they also agreed to help 20 million more girls learn to read by the age of 10. UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said that educating girls was a smart investment. He added that the new targets would ensure 12 years of continuous education for young women and transform the fortunes not just of individuals but of whole communities and nations. Stay tuned to this channel for the live Ask an Atheist show with guest Andy Burrows, who trades under the name of Atheist Dad on Twitter. This show starts in about 10 minutes. We will be back with our weekly news review on our platforms at the same time next week. Please like, share, comment, set the notifications, etc. Thank you for watching.